Hello and welcome to this first Acme screencast. In this screencast I'll go over the basics of Acme, and I'll try to illustrate some of its powerful features and how a typical user would use it for very basic mundane stuff. Now let's start over with what is Acme? Acme is an integrating development environment and a text editor. At its core, Acme has none of the following features. It doesn't have syntax highlighting, no plugin system, no line number display on the left, no key modal system, for example, like it is like Vim, and no color scheme. You only get one color that you can choose. Um, However, it has two features that can replace all of those features or make those features unnecessary. So it exposes the internal Acme system through the 9p protocol, and you could use it. That's the first feature that can replace most of those features, and you can also use it to pipe commands directly to the buffer. And the former allows for programmatic control of Acme's internal buffers. The latter allows the user to replace most plugins, extensions, and Lisp functions through the Unix standard input. Now, to illustrate this, I'll try to do a very basic command that is very popular. I'll do ls, which is supposed to list the directory. So if I select it by holding left click and then going from right to left, it will select this text. If I do middle click, it will execute the ls command and it will pipe its output to a new buffer called plus errors. Now this buffer is special because it holds any sort of I would say any command output, right? You can also modify it to pipe into files in a standard way, like say for example list directories. I can use that, and then if I do right click, it will open the file that it piped into. So and this is in POSIX shells in general. More than that, I can also use it. I could also execute and pipe commands to put them directly into the buffer. So for example, if I wanted today's date, I could do I guess the bigger than or smaller than sign, this sign. It's like a triangle from the left to the right, where the left has the center and then it spreads to the right. And then I select it and I middle click, and then it gives me the date today. Now you can also execute not by selecting with the left click, but by selecting with middle click like this. It will give you a red selection, and if I let go, it will execute the command again. So I'm gonna delete the list directories and continue on the illustration. So suppose you wanted to make the following phrase uppercase. So hello world. In small case, you want to make it uppercase. What you would do in Vim is you would go into visual mode, press G and U. So you would select it in Vim like this, but by using the V key, pressing G and then pressing capital U, and that would make it uppercase. Now in Acme, what you can do and what you would usually do is you would do something like this. You would use the pipe command, the pipe symbol, and it has the same meaning as in Unix shell. You do a command called tr, translate character, and then you type in the lower group and translate those lower group characters into higher group characters. So if I do something like this, it will transform the text. Now also you can just as an illustration, you can pipe the text, whatever text you select, by selecting it here and then executing the command like this, and now I have the hash of hello world, right? Capital hello world, sorry. So that's how you would use it, and that's how you would make a phrase uppercase. Now this may be strange to the average user, but as time passes, the user would find this workflow, I would say, very, very easy and I would say they would get used to it basically. So therefore, the plugins or Lisp functions you would write in contemporary text or IDEs. In Acme, it would be really like writing program or shell scripts and piping them within Acme. Now, I should mention that whenever you start a new file or open a new file, like for example, if I do new here, you will see that there are some text here, and those are really commands, and those are Acme specific commands. So the del is short for delete. It's supposed to delete whatever thing that you have. So it would delete. So for example, if I do del here, it would delete the buffer. If I do del col, it will delete the column. And then if I do right click here, so I did left click to select this, and then right click, it would open the directory we were just in. If I do also middle click here, it would open a new column, and then I can move the I would say the buffer. Yeah. Now to go, you can also use the scroll bar on the left, and to use the scroll bar, you can use it the same way you would use it in most modern programs, by pressing middle click, and then the scroll bar would move to the way that to the place that you selected. Or you could use right click to go down and left click to go up. Yeah, and so to save files, whenever you modify a file, so if I press enter and then add some modifications, you'll see that on the top left, this turns into bright blue, which means that the buffer is dirty. In layman's terms, it means that the buffer has unsafe changes, and then this command put would appear. And to save it, you just press put with middle click, and voila, it works. In general, left click selects text. That's all. That's what it does always. Right click enters into files and directories, and you could also use it for search. So for example, if I do left click here and then right click, it would search for all internal all the words with the name internal, and middle click executes stuff, right? So let's see how somebody would write an extension or a plugin in Acme. So imagine you have, or suppose you want to make a script that has hello world capital or hello world small letters into capitalized hello world. So how would you go about doing this? So I would say in most IDEs, you would write an extension, maybe bind some, some commands, or not some commands, some functions to that extension, or maybe like a shortcut. In Acme, what you would do is you would write a script or a program. So you can write a program in any programming language that you want. I'm going to use Go for this demonstration. Or you could write a shell script. I'll do both. I'll do first the program that takes in standard input, capitalizes each letter, capitalize each letter of each word in Go, and then I'll do it in I would say in a shell script. Yeah. So I'm gonna just do basic stuff in Go. So import OS to read from standard input. Import buffered IO so I can read each word by itself. Import, let's see what else. Import, I guess, import format to print, and I think that should be it. Yeah, so very basic stuff. So let's define the standard input as OS standard input. Let's define a scanner using the buff.io scanning library, and let's also set the scanner to, I forgot the name of the function actually, so I'm gonna just type in godoc. And by the way, you can also, I didn't mention this, but it's a very good mental note to keep. You can keep you can write commands under the header of the buffer, so that you come back to them time and time again. So for example, I wanna read the documentation of the buff.io. So I do go doc buff.io and then middle click, and let's see, where is it? So scan words. So okay, so but how do I scan words? Scanner. Okay, so I'm gonna go for scanner and read all the methods of that struct. So it says here new scanner buff split. Okay, so split buff.io scan words, and then for scanner scan, and then let's check for errors using the basic Go faculties for checking, or Go functions for checking the error. And then if there is an error, panic, because this is meant to be a very simple script. And then get the text, which would be the scanned word, so text, and then let's just print it just to check if the function or if the script works as intended. So what I'm gonna do now is go run main go, and then give it some text like hello world, and it should just print those words, right? It shouldn't put any spaces between them. Yes, exactly. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna use the strings, import the strings library, and then create a function called capitalize first letter, and it takes in a string and it returns a string. Now let's just get the first. Let's just check if the string is empty, because if it is, that means that there is no first letter, and it would getting a first letter when the string is empty would crash the Go program. First letter S0, and then let's see, and then strings capitalize. Oh, sorry. To upper first letter, and then plus, and then oh yeah, I should convert the first letter into an actual string, because Go is a very strong typed language. And then I would do S1, and then I guess I forgot the name of this character, but I'm guessing it's easily knowable by most programmers at least. So what this does is it gets every character but the first one, and it adds both of those. And just for safe measure, let's make it lower, because if we want to capitalize the hello world in uppercase, we want to make all of these letters lowercase, and then the first letter uppercase. So let's see how that would turn out. Of course, I forgot to add a space, and I forgot to capitalize first letter, and then yeah, so it works as intended. Now hello world. Okay, good. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna build the main.go, and we should have a main here. Yeah, main. So I'm gonna move that, or rename it, into capitalize -go. And now instead of just writing a big script like this one for capitalizing, I could just execute my Go program that I wrote, and voila, it works. Now you can notice that there's a space at the end, and that space, I mean, you could write some way to figure out how to fix that, but for the time being it's fine with me. Now I'll try my best at writing capitalized shell script. Or sorry, let me just remove and then touch it again, create it again, and then make it executable. And now we have that. So usually what you would do whilst using Acme is that you would write shell scripts, because shell scripts are very easy to use. So for example, I want to show you a shell script that I wrote, to lower it's called. So this basic shell script makes every any text that you select lowercase, like this. So the T is lowercase, and so on and so forth. Lisp, the L in Lisp or IDEs, they all become lowercase. Now you want to write shell scripts because they don't need to be compiled, and they're usually fast for most things. So, and they're usually easy and easy to read and fast to write as well. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna write a shell script with awk. Now I'm not very good at awk compared to my Golang skills, so I'm just gonna man awk and read the manual for it. Increase the column so the text isn't so hard to read. Okay, let's see. So there is a two lower and two upper function, which is good. What I'm gonna do is split the input, split each line, and then by splitting each line, we're gonna do a for loop. Where is it? Like so, and then for each argument, we're gonna print first the uppercase letter and then the lowercase string, similar to how we did it in Golang, but without all the fancy library and all the fancy I/O. So let's see. First of all, we want to do substring, and then okay, enclose our things into, or sorry, close on our things into curly braces, or our commands in curly braces. So what does this do into the string? So split 0. 0 means the line, so the line without separation of any spaces. Now usually what you would do in awk, so okay, so if I pipe this and if I do awk print 2, it would print the second word, right? Like this, vim. So it would separate everything between spaces, and then the $sign followed by 2, followed by any number, is the nth number of the word in that line. So in this case, vim. If I make it 3, if I make it 3 here, it would say u. So let's see again. It would say u. Good. But if you do 0, it gives you the whole line as it is. And the reason I want to do 0 is because I don't know how to range over each dollar. Like I don't know how many I guess words there are by using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and more than that, I don't know how to do them in a for loop, which is what is important. So that's why I'm using this split function. So it says s, and I'm gonna give it the whole line, $0, and then a into elements a. So I'm gonna make it a, and then fs is the separator. So I'm gonna make it space, and then let's check just for basic stuff. Does it work or not? So I'm gonna use a equals 1, I less than length a, I plus plus, and then I guess printf space and then a I. Now this is my first time writing this shell script, so it could go wrong. I'm gonna instead of piping it, I'm gonna get it to output into the errors buffer. Here is how that would look like. Now unfortunately it didn't print the last one, so I'm gonna do length plus 1. Okay, good. Now what we want to do is make it 2 strings instead of 1, and then do substring. I think it's somewhere near here. Yeah, substring. So substring AI, get me the first letter, and then I want to get the rest of the word, right? So let's just check. Oh wow, that is an issue here. Let's see. What does it say? Here is how that would look like. Oh, okay. I guess I have to make it 1 to 2, and then because I guess it's similar to Lua in that the arrays in awk start from 1 instead of 0. Here is how that would look like. I didn't add a space. There should be a space afterwards. No, I guess the thing is inclusive. So what I'm gonna do is do instead of 2, do 3. Okay, that's good enough. So next I'm gonna do to upper. Make the first letter, which is this one, to upper, and then this one to lower. And then no, I was wrong, I guess. I guess it has to be 1 to 1 and then 2 to the length. And let's see. Yes, here is how that would look like. So that's how you do it in awk. Now most of the time, as I said, you want to do these things inside shell scripts because they're easier to debug, they're easier to write. You don't have to worry about IO, you don't have to worry about most of these other things, right? But in the case that you can't, you can also write a Go program. And in fact, some Go programs, some acme programs are written in C. For example, there is this there's this command called win, and it's written in C by the original Plan 9 authors. And when you middle click it, it will give you a shell that you can use as if you're using a normal shell in a terminal. Now, granted, you can't use I would say terminal commands like mail clients or Vim or something like that, but you can use very basic easy commands like ls or cat. Clear, for example, does not work because it sends a terminal code. But what you could do instead is edit, and the edit command needs its own video. But what you can do is edit and then comma and then echo, and then that will clear it. Because edit is not seen as it's an acme it's an internal acme command. So if I do middle click echo, for example, watch this. If I do middle click echo, it would pipe it into the win terminal, right? But if I do edit and then comma means select all of the text and then pipe that to echo, which wouldn't do anything. It would just clear out the entire buffer. Now you can't turn this thing into a script, because if you turn it into a script, the win program would see that and think it's a script, and it will execute it in this window, right? And that wouldn't work. But you can also write your own script that can, for example, read the buffer with 9p, and after that it would clear out the buffer. But that's more complex, and that also deserves its own video. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this was easy to follow through. I intend on making future Acme content similar to this, because it's a worthwhile tool, and I think more people need to know about it. If not for real life use, then just for the interesting ideas that it offers. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.